Now, the reason for that is because there's not enough value in the transaction. And so we're gonna have to change like other industries change. The insurance industry, for example, had to change. 100 years ago, if somebody was selling life insurance, if somebody was selling insurance here in Vancouver, Washington, they wouldn't be selling life insurance, they would have been selling burial insurance. Then they evolved to selling death insurance, and then some positive spinmeister said it would sound more cheerful and optimistic, and instead of calling this death insurance, why don't we call it life insurance? Think that was a good move on their part?
Yeah.
Right? All wisdom begins by properly naming things. Was that a good example? And then what happened that the life insurance industry became eviscerated because of consumer information through consumer reports, and all the life insurance agents became financial planners. Am I making sense? That transformation is going to happen in real estate. There's not enough real estate in the real estate value in the real estate transaction. So we're going to have to recast and redefine our value. You're not going to hear this in them because they're all talking about disintermediation and disruption for the last 20 years. You can't have a meeting without talking about disruption. There's no answers, but you know it pulls people in. But the thing is this. But we have to let people know that we're not just there when they have a transactional need. Because we're allowing the consumer to treat the internet as emergency waiting room. See, people will go to WebMD, but they don't abandon their doctor. They have a primary family doctor. But people don't have a primary family realtor. And so we're very, very vulnerable. And we're going to talk about the answers to this, but you'll at least see the strategic thinking here that's going into what I'm presenting today. Okay, so I want to see every single broker with a banner, the home of lifestyle advisors. Do you want the public in your markets in Washington and Oregon to think that instead of just saying, when you're ready to buy or sell a home, give me a call, gee, what a sport, okay, the rest of the time get lost. Do you want to basically say to the public, when you're ready to buy, sell a home, give me a call, or do you want to express that you are there to help them before, during, and after a transaction? What do you think is more valuable? So how many of you like the idea on your business cards and in your windows announcing that because we're real living, all wisdom begins by properly naming things, the model method, we own the word living, we own the word lifestyle. How many of you like the idea of every real living broker having a banner that announces that we're the home of lifestyle advisors? May I see your hands? Okay, there you go. You see your company? There you go, okay. And here's the point here. This has to be a national movement because we have to stand for something. We have to stand for something. Okay, now moving on. Then we're developing a certified coaching program for the leaders. Because I hear people say this all the time. I'm being coached, and I love Mike. Mike dedicated this book to me. I'm being coached by Mike Ferry. No, Mike's on a cruise in Italy with his wife. Okay? He's not coaching. I'm being coached by Brian Buffini. No, Brian's on his airplane going back to Dublin. Okay? But will people say I'm being coached by Brian Buffini? Do they still say that? Mm-hmm. We want people, but these other people, do you think they're coaching you on how to be a lifestyle advisor? Are they coaching you in Neighbors Know Best? Are they coaching you in the... Are they? No. That's why we have to certify our leaders so they can help people differentiate themselves in the marketplace. Pace setters. Okay, next. So we announced it with the leader in customized real estate. Most real estate people to this day are still actually being taught how to make a listing presentation. Now, some of you may think the difference between a listing presentation and a marketing proposal is merely a matter of semantics. It isn't. You've all seen that plaque, watch your thoughts lead to your words, actions, character, behavior, and destiny. If you actually think you're going to make a listing presentation, what do you think you're going to make? A listing presentation. What percentage of homeowners want a listing presentation? Zero. What percentage of homeowners would prefer a customized marketing proposal? All of them. Now you may think, oh, this is just semantics. It isn't semantics. It has powerful, powerful consequences because it will shape your behavior. A listing presentation is about you and your company, which consumers have developed antibodies over. A marketing proposal is about you and them and their property, and it's collaborative. So instead of treating the homeowner as a listing presentation victim, listening to a self-serving, self-aggrandizing monologue where you think you're selling yourself, but ironically you're defending yourself. See, the only people who work as arduously on selling themselves to the public are people in prison seeking parole. Because that's what they do. They bring testimonials. They bring a brag book. They flip pages. Okay? No, a marketing proposal is where you involve the person as a marketing collaborator. Am I making sense? And the better you involve the homeowner, it becomes almost impossible to lose the listing. So let's go to that part, okay? And I'm trying to condense this because I usually do this over 11 straight hours, but I have very little time today, but I'm going to do my best just this morning to noon. Okay, here. Here's the one-page marketing proposal. I designed this years ago. Now, do you think homeowners would rather see one page where everything's contained or have a wedding album? They want one page. Let's get with it, okay? Now, especially the millennials. And this is in your iPad, your laptop, or physically you're rendering this. I put down the bottom here, traditional marketing provided by most real estate companies. You know why? Because years ago, again, agents used to go to the convention, up and down the exhibit aisles, little trick-or-treatings, okay? And they'd buy like a 21-point listing presentation. Anybody remember stuff like that? Because obviously every home in the country is the same, so you make the same presentation. No, this is the opposite. So I put here all the things that you don't even have to bring up. Because when I checked into the hotel here, they didn't say, Mr. Dalton, just so you know, we have towels in the room. Oh, by the way, there's a TV in your room, okay? There's a telephone in your room. So we don't have to talk about for sale signs. We don't have to talk about basic. We don't have to talk about a broker. We don't have to talk about the MLS. But you have to show that. So you're including it, but you don't have to waste the time because once you start talking about an open house, do you think they think other people do open houses? Now you wonder why they think we're all the same. And if everybody's all the same, maybe somebody will do it for us and maybe we like somebody better than you. So therefore, I basically put this down the bottom. This is coach. Now how are we going to upgrade you in the first class? So here's the presentation. Okay, let me see here. Who can be my victims? Okay. Chad and Holly. Okay, I'm coming to your home. Here's how this presentation works. This becomes impossible to lose a listing. Let me show you. Chad, Holly, now first of all, here's what you've got to do. How important do you think the opening is to your discussion on the marketing? Let's talk about the steps that you have to take. Number one, don't ever go to a home and go directly to the front door. Do you think some realtors still do that? Mm-hmm. They get out of the car, they go right to the front door? What that basically says to the homeowner is that I am absolutely not impressed with your home. There's nothing about it that could ever distract me for a second. Okay, I don't even have to look around because I'm not here to focus on your home. I'm here to get you focused on me. It'd be like bringing your dog to we wouldn't do it anyway, to a kennel and you're going on a vacation, or bringing your child to daycare, or grandchild to daycare, and the owner of the daycare doesn't even look down at your kid when you're talking for 30 minutes. You wouldn't want to leave your kid there. And can you imagine going to somebody's home, getting out of the car, going to the front door, without first looking outside with a yellow pad? Now what if you stood in front of the home like this? You never get that listing. Now, do you think this is a small point, or do you think that's an important point? Important. It's an important point, because let me ask you this. Who do you think spends more time in front of the home? The listing agent or a buyer? A buyer. Why do you think the buyer spends more time in front of the home? Because what are they interested in? The home. What are we interested in? Getting the listing. Because we're listing agents. So now, the next thing is, what do you say when you go get to the door? Don't ever say, why don't you show me the home as if I was the buyer? No. Why don't we take a pre-marketing evaluation of the home together so we can determine together which of the amenities will give us the greatest marketing advantage? Does that sound better? Ooh, this person's a pro. Now, what percentage of your homes in Washington and Oregon do you think homeowners point out improvements? All of them. So what is your precise response to that? I never thought of that. You've got to. If you're going to go on thousands and hundreds of listing presentations, if you're going to get every one of them, here's what you say. Anytime a person picks up at home, Chad Hawley, let me ask you this. Allan, we used to have concrete around the swimming pool. We upgraded to blue slate, and we used to have sliding glass doors. We put in French doors. Wait, whose idea was that? Oh, that was my idea. That's really going to give us a marketing advantage. See, that person now has to list with you because you're cashing in their decision. Whose idea was that? Oh, that was my idea. Do you think that person likes you for asking that? That's really going to help us, okay? Because you're never going on a listing, as coaches and trainers tell you, you're never going on an interview. Because 92% of everybody in the country that goes on interviews doesn't get hired. Because if you think you're going on an interview, who do you think you're going to have the focus on? Yourself. You already have the listing. You were just going there to customize the plan. You never begin by saying, well, how are you going to go about selecting a realtor? As a lot of coaches still teach. See, a doctor is never going to say, how are you going to select a doctor? The landscaper is never going to come to your house and say, how are you going to be selecting a landscaper? Because they never manifest that competitive worry, because what you're basically saying is this. Folks, even though you're going through trauma, you're getting divorced, and you're being relocated, that means nothing to me. I can't start off with your concerns. We first have to resolve the uncertainty of if I'm going to get this listing or not. We have to go over the circumstances. How are you going to be going about selecting a realtor? Because this is all about me. But would you agree with me? Some people have been trained to do that. Because we're not strategic. We're tactical. Everything we've been taught is completely wrong. I'm not saying everything. You stop me when I say that something is better the other way. What should you say instead of comps? How about this? Let's take a look at properties that buyers will be evaluating at the same time they're evaluating your home. Do you like that better? Mm-hmm. What do you do if somebody says, how are you different? What would anyone here say? Anyone say anything? How are you different? What would you say? No matter what you say, you're smart not to fall into the trap here. And I'll tell you why. Because if you even begin to articulate what makes you different, you've fallen into the trap. Because homeowners don't think you're that different. It's a setup. Unless you can say, well, we've got subterranean offices and we've got satellites, it's not remarkable, okay? So what do you do if somebody asks how are you different, or how do you explain how you're different? Do you think that's important? Do you think it's important to explain how you're different? Here's how you say it. John, rather than focus on how I'm different, I'd rather focus on how we have to make your property different. You see, I don't compete against other agents here in Vancouver, but your home competes against other homes in the market. I actually cooperate with all the other realtors, but your home doesn't cooperate with the other homes in the market. It competes against them. So the way that I'm different, and the way that Real Living's different, and the way that our customized home marketing system is different, is we've got to do everything possible to show what's different about your home. Do you like that answer better? See, that's how I'm going to give you hundreds of these things. You're not going to hear these anywhere else because most people that are training people haven't been on listing in 20 years. Some never were. We're speaking to a consumer who no longer exists, and everybody's playing to the ego of the agents as opposed to giving language that the consumers want to hear, and they deserve to hear. Okay, so now, how do we begin a marketing presentation? Do you think agents in this country have ever had homeowners say this to them as they begin their little dog and pony show? Do you think they've ever heard a homeowner say this? Can we just get to the price? Now, do you think that's been said a million times in the history of the country? I do. Do you think that helps the realtor to hear that or not? It hurts because what the basic homeowner is saying is this: we don't like your approach. These are flawed atmospherics, even if it means that we have to embarrass you and preempt your professionalism, okay? It's like saying to a doctor, hey, look, can you just get my file out here? Can we not stop this nonsense? You can't afford to be imperfect on a marketing proposal. So you never, ever begin without asking them how they want you to begin. So here's the exact language. Chad, Hawley, tonight I brought some pricing strategies as well as some marketing strategies. Would you like to begin first with the pricing strategies and then move on to the marketing strategies? Or would you rather begin with the marketing strategies and then move to the pricing strategies? Do you like that, folks? Mm-hmm. Do you think that's ever going to irritate anybody? Do you see how it preemptively inoculates any problem because no one's ever going to cut you short? And they're going to feel empowered because the only way that you can be in control is when the homeowners feel they're in control. So it's three things. First of all, it's consultative, because a consultative asks questions. Number two, it demonstrates confidence, because you're so confident it doesn't matter to you. And number three, you're manifesting control, because the only way you're in control is when they feel they're in control. But that's only if you want to get hundreds of listings in your career, that you would be this meticulous, where people have to list with you. Now, what if they say to you, we want to begin with price? Here's what we have to have, here's how we have to change that. Here's how the industry has changed, here's how the industry has undermined your professionalism because of technology. I may not be right, but I'm convinced that every realtor in America has been trained to handle price this way. Well, folks, I went into the computer, okay, this column here, this would be homes on the market. Now, I'm saying this mockingly. Some agents, oh, that sounds pretty good. I went into the computer, this column here, this would be homes on the market. That would be like your competition deal, okay? This